Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman from Hire It Done. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to be live on site with Urbain from Miss Dig, and we're actually going to show where the flags go, how you mark for utilities, and what to avoid even on the simple stuff. Welcome to the podcast, Eric.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So let's get started with the basics of Miss Dig for everyone who hasn't seen the previous videos and what it is. So tell everyone Miss Dig, what you're supposed to be doing.
So Miss Dig, quite simply, is the contact before you dig place, right? So
Correct.
We are the single point of contact for anyone doing digging across the state. We are tied into all the public utilities, so you can call 811 or go to our website, missdig811.org. Let us know what kind of project you have going on, when and where, and we will send that information to all the utility companies so they can mark where their underground lines are prior to you digging.
Okay, so let's take a simple one. Someone backs out of a driveway, runs over somebody's mailbox.
Yeah.
You go to a big box store and you get the new post, you get a post hole digger, and you're getting excited. You're supposed to call Miss Dig for that?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's go take a look at a live mailbox, and let's actually show people what they need to do.
Let's do it.
Okay, so here we are in front of a mailbox. Obviously the mailbox is in good shape, but the assumption is someone backs out of a driveway, runs the mailbox over. You're like, oh no. You go to a big box store, you buy a new post.
Yep.
Either you relocate it or put in the existing. Typically when you push someone's mailbox over, it widens the opening and you're gonna wanna build or dig a new hole for the post. So Eric, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna put a new post in 3 feet, a foot from here, wherever.
Yep.
You gotta call Miss Dig, right?
Absolutely. Just right here, right off the road, quite easily we could have the telecommunication lines that are feeding the individual homes, a gas main, certainly different municipal facilities. And what a lot of people do is they kind of have a misunderstanding of how deep things are and think that's going to be, oh, we're way down there, I don't have to worry about it. And that is not the case. Certainly if I'm going to be digging a new pole for a new post, I could certainly come in contact and damage any of the lines we have here in the roadway.
So, and for everyone's reference, the mailbox posts are obviously at the street, right? So, and what Eric is saying is underneath could be a gas line, plumbing, electric, phone, cable, any one of those. Yep. So before you put your post hole digger in, you must call Miss Dig. Okay, so here we have orange markers.
Yep.
Eric, tell everyone what these do and what to look out for when they see the orange. And obviously we're going to be digging a hole, a trench. What's the orange for?
Sure, so orange represents cable and telephone facilities. So this is your cable, your internet, the home phone, anything you have running both to the neighborhood and the property. We're out here kind of in the right of way, so what you're really going to see is typically more main lines that are feeding multiple homes within the neighborhood. And what's really important about these orange facilities when we're talking about telecommunications are their depth, right? We mentioned people make assumptions, but when we're talking residential internet and phone lines, when they're buried, we're typically talking just under the sod, right?
Really? So like 6 inches down or right around there?
Under a foot, right? And it's the type of thing because the lines that you have feeding your home underground aren't that much different than the lines that are in your walls or aerial.
Okay.
And one step with a spade shovel will sever this line without a problem. So it's real important to know exactly where it is.
And of course, you lose your Wi-Fi. Forget telephone, you lose the Wi-Fi. That's the worst part, man. We all know. So, okay, so this is one of the things. So again, here's the information that you need to know. If you need to put your mailbox in or any shallow digging, you still need to call Miss Dig. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So here we are in front of a residential location at the beginning of a house. So Eric, you have some markings here that we see down here that are yellow. Explain to the audience what this is.
Absolutely. So yellow represents our natural gas facilities. So the heat coming into your home, right? So we have our gas meter there. And what's interesting about gas facilities, specifically on a residential side, is the service coming to your home is typically just about a 1/2-inch plastic line. Okay. So it doesn't conduct any signal to allow our utility locators to find it. So there's a little copper wire wrapped around the base of the meter. It is that they are actually connecting to find the signal to locate these. But this represents, the natural gas facilities, and it's something you certainly want to avoid when you're
you don't want to hit a gas line or want to hit a gas line. Let me ask, how deep are typically are these, or is it vary based on the elevation?
It's absolutely going to vary. So right now we're in kind of like a landscaped and manicured area. So while out in the property, this might be 2-3 feet deep, there's been a lot of work in this
Correct.
area over years. So this could just be a couple inches, a foot. It could certainly be deeper, but it really drives home the importance of not making an assumption. Utilizing these marks, if you have to be digging near these marks, take your shovel and kind of just gently expose and find that line first.
Okay, but the wire that's on that line is how they actually find it.
Yep.
It sends a signal, and if you see over here that wire sticking out, you'll know that there's a wire there. Can there be people who see that and there's no wire?
Sure, yeah, there's all kinds of situations that happen that kind of complicate the locating process.
Is Miss Dig prepared and know how to find it if they don't have the wire?
Absolutely. So our utility providers, the gas utility, they certainly have their own prints to work off of as a backup. They always want to physically connect to a line to
Sure.
try to run a signal on it. But in the event that they can't, they certainly have their as-built prints to give them a pretty good idea where it's at as a backup. So whatever they can do to provide a relatively accurate set of markings is really what their objective is.
This is outdoor lighting.
Yep.
And exterior lighting is pretty much subsurface, I think.
Yes.
Pretty much. That's also something that I don't think it's considered private, right?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
your normal power provider here in the area, they will certainly mark what they own.
Sure.
But these in-ground landscaping lights or kind of accent lights and the electric lines that feed them, that's the property owner. So the electric company doesn't know anything about them, so they will also go unmarked.
Here's a tip for homeowners. If you have outdoor lighting, if you have well water, or anything outside of the Miss Dig list of utilities, make sure that your contractor has it in writing that he will repair or replace anything that he cuts or ruins that is outside of whatever Miss Dig does. It's important because if that gets ripped out and you have to redo your exterior lighting, that's a big expense that you didn't have in your original budget with your contractor. So as we move towards the other parts of the back of the house, this house happens to have underground electrical. And of course, this is the most dangerous besides the gas line for any kind of underground digging. Eric, obviously the red
Yep.
is the indication of underground electrical. How important is this?
Oh, it's absolutely important for certainly your safety and just the well-being of yourself and your family, right? So red does certainly represent power and electric. And depending on where you live, a lot of us might have aerial or overhead power
Sure.
coming to our house, and some may not know, right? It could be a mix where in an older neighborhood, at one time it was aerial, but at some point someone has made an effort to actually bury it. So again, just don't make an assumption that, oh, we're good, there's nothing in the back, everything's overhead. Call us, have the professionals out, and they can kind of identify exactly what you have to worry about.
So there's a great tip for you. It's always better to call Miss Dig 811. If you're not sure, always tell your contractor, and that'll keep you safe because the results could be disastrous. So we're in the middle of the summer.
Yep.
Miss Dig has got an abundance of calls. I remember you in our last interview, you said something like over 100,000 a month.
Yeah, it's funny, throughout the spring we've actually set some monthly records. We almost reached 150,000 tickets a month for 2 straight months this spring.
And that's the whole state.
That's a statewide notification. So we're on a pace to eclipse probably 1.4 million tickets.
Now, is there any relationship between the amount of Miss Dig tickets and the economy?
Absolutely, right? When there are, there's federal and state funding for large road projects, or
Correct.
there's, municipal investment in, construction and infrastructure, you see a lot more
Sure.
activity. We're in a point here over the last handful of years, there's been a great push to expand broadband access across
Sure.
the state of Michigan.
Fiber optics?
Absolutely, fiber in rural areas and just upgrades to the existing network. And over the past 2.5 years, that is far and away the leading type of call we're seeing is for that type of work.
That's interesting information. So you've got record amount. Homeowners are fixing up their houses in record amounts. And, again, I haven't seen in the news any disasters, thank God, lately. So people are following the rules.
Yep.
The professional contractors are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Sure.
And as long as we keep the message out to homeowners that anytime you're doing any type of work in the exterior of your house, whether it's shallow digging or deep, it's better to call Miss Dig just in case, even if you don't think you need to, better call them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's a free service. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. We're probably the least expensive insurance policy you can put for safety and the success of your job. So if it's a small job, a large job, do it yourself, hiring it out, just make sure someone is contacting us prior to the work.
What's the time frame again, Eric? Like if someone, today is a Tuesday, let's say.
Sure.
I'm going to be, my contractor and I are starting a project. He should call, and what is usually 3 days, 4 days, 5 days before they come out?
It's typically 3 business days. So if you want to be ready to go for that weekend project, why don't you give us a call, early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, allow that 3 business day time frame so you're ready to go first thing Saturday morning.
I have a question. So we went from the mailbox to the front of the house to the rear of the house.
Yep.
Let's just say I'm doing a deck expansion over this area.
Sure.
Do I have to worry about the front when I'm doing this?
Actually, that's a great question, and we want you to be as specific as possible with your work. If all your work is going to be in the backyard, specify that, right? And that will allow the locators to focus specifically on where the holes will be dug and not worry about spending time and resources marking things that aren't in any conflict out in the front of the property.
Let me ask you this. I just learned something while we were doing this at this house. If I want at my house to know where everything is, I shouldn't just call Miss Dig if I don't have a project. That's going to waste resources, like you said.
Right.
Is there another way to find out, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so there is a way. So how do you do that?
So you're right, Adam. If you're not actually doing the digging, we mentioned before, we're taking over 1 million tickets a year, hundreds of thousands a month. It puts a strain on the personnel that actually are out here doing the locating. So if you would like to know what you have, we actually have something called Design Ticket for Miss Dig. So if you create a request for a design ticket, we will again send that out to all the utility providers. And then within 10 days, they are required to send you their as-built drawings and maps of where their lines actually are.
So what they have on file, basically, for your property address.
And it really helps in maybe a large landscaping, decks, pools, where the contractor is looking to maybe kind of just bid a job and knowing what they're getting themselves into. Having that information, they can design a project around the fact that they know a power line here or a gas line is here. And then when it's time to actually start work, then you call us, you make your traditional Miss Dig ticket, get the marks out there and just dig safely.
That's actually good advice. So for homeowners, if you're planning an addition, if you're planning a patio, a deck, or anything, and you know that you're months away, you might want to do a design ticket or ask your contractor that you've decided with to do a design ticket. That way there's no extra costs involved. You can get all the pricing up front, because if you sign a contract with a contractor and then they call Miss Dig and Miss Dig says, oh wait, there's a huge line coming right through here, the contractor may say, hey look, we can't go this way, we have to redesign things and there's an extra charge. It may be good advice or smart for you and your contractor to agree up front that get a design ticket in the design phase so that anything underground may or may not impact the price, but you'll know ahead of time and you'll avoid those budget busters. So Eric, the information you just gave us, again, is priceless. So for everyone out there who hears this, sees this, wants to get Miss Dig at their house, can you give them the right place to go? If they don't have internet, they have a phone. If they have internet, what's the, just give them all the answers.
Sure, so there are really 2 primary ways to contact us. So the first is online. Our website is missdig811.org or MISSDIG811.org. And you can learn all about the service, some of the requirements, but also place a dig notice or a request right there. But if you just like to talk to someone in person, our phone number is very easy. It's simply 811.
There you have it, folks. In the description below, we've got the link for Miss Dig. But it's missdig811.org or just dial 811 on your phone and it's automatic.